Hello, Cousin Donald. This is Infallible Arch and the Aussie Transition Team. Once again, let's get on to one of your favourite topics, immigration. Now, there's probably no topic that causes more heartache and pain in the US than this one, and in every society. Now, Australia and New Zealand on the whole have very good immigration systems. And this is, as I said before, if you're CEO of USA Inc., you've got to look everywhere for your executives, and you've got to study other societies that are very successful in various ways, such as Norway or New Zealand or Australia. Now, Australia and New Zealand are probably the most harmonious multicultural societies in the world. You probably don't study us. You've probably got 100 experts on Russia to every one on Australia and New Zealand, but our GNP last year was more than Russia's, Australia and New Zealand combined. So perhaps it's worthwhile having a little look at us. Now, these are general statements on immigration. Our greatest Prime Minister of all was probably John Howard, with maybe Robert Gordon Menzies, both people of course with a lot of Scots blood in them. Now John Howard is the fellow who backed up George Bush and had our marvellous Australian troops always beside you in Iraq and Afghanistan. And at one stage in Iraq, the second general in charge, General Jim Mullen, was in charge of both US and Australian troops. So our militaries always integrate very well. Now, with regards to immigration, John Howard, he, Maggie Thatcher and Bob Hawke of Australia are the only Prime Ministers in modern day society to have won 4 elections on the trot. So having a look at their careers is pretty good, because they're very, very smart politicians, and you're new in the political game. And John Howard synthesised the Australian position beautifully by saying, when there was this upcry about boat people, Labor later on allowed boat people to come, and 1,200 people drowned, 50,000 people, a lot of whom of course just opportunistic migrants, not true refugees at all. If you fly over 40 countries to come to Australia and you stroll off the gangplank in very nice tracksuits, you're really just an opportunistic migrant, you're not a true refugee. True refugees go to the nearest country, don't they? But John Howard said, we will decide who comes to this country and the manner in which they come. I thought that was a beautiful explanation of what migration should be all about. Now, firstly, internationally, if you put together all the free nations in the world, and if you don't, with the United States it's pretty stupid because it's pretty obvious, you've got a Charter of Rights and a Charter of Responsibilities. Now, what you should be introducing in the USA is a Charter of Rights. We all know what people's rights are in democracies, and a Charter of Responsibilities. Now, if you look, firstly, the biggest punch-up in America has been you're stating that you're going to deport all the illegals and get rid of the criminals. Well, we agree totally that your police should be working overtime to get rid of violent criminals, because you don't want them. Send them back wherever they came from. Get rid of them. Who cares? Now, with regards to the rest of the illegal immigrants, we just don't think it's possible to dislocate 12 or 11 or 12 million people. You don't even know how many illegal immigrants you have. But once you've got your wall up, and once you've got such proper things on the wall as retinal scanning of anyone who comes in, so you know who they are, if they come back you can identify them immediately. The technology's here, and of course you should be using it. Once you've done that, what are you going to do with all the illegal immigrants, particularly if they're hard working? The best thing would be to have an amnesty for them, and then an internal green card system. And if they spend 10 years on welfare and they refuse jobs and they won't work, boot them out because they're illegal. However, if they're hard-working, decent people, at the end of that 10 years, they should be able to take up American citizenship. This seems extremely fair. And it doesn't matter whether people are legal or illegal immigrants, they should all sign a charter of citizenship when they apply for citizenship. And this charter states simply that in this country, people are equal. Homosexual people, gay people are equal. All people are equal in this country with equal rights to education, etc. Women have the same rights as men. And such barbaric practices as is practiced, I believe, in countries like Sudan, as removal of the female clitoris and genitals, it's not only barbaric, anyone involved in it is immediately deported. Once they're convicted, they're immediately deported, kicked out of the country. Why bother keeping them in prison? Just kick them out, send them back where they came from. And that anybody who engages in child marriage, marrying an 8 or a 10 or a 12-year-old off to an adult, they're also kicked out of the country, because these people don't belong in your country. You are entitled, as is Australia, New Zealand, Canada, as one of the most desirable nations of the world to migrate into. You're entitled to say to people, this is how US citizens live, and this is how you will live. If you choose not to live like this, we will boot you out. And that is why you should be doing it. Now, that's with all your 11 or 12 million illegals, whatever. They must sign that charter of citizenship, and if they break the laws, violent crime, they're kicked out. Murder, rape, anything like that, boom, out they go. Now, with regards to refugees, here is what we think you should do. You should look at your current composition of America and say it's 70% Christian, 62% Caucasian. Now, it's a country founded on Judeo-Christian ethics, which is love thy neighbour and all those beautiful things about Christianity. Even if you're an atheist or an agnostic, you recognise how important the ethics of Christianity are. Lord Holmes said in the 19th century, I think, that he did not believe in any particular Christian dogma, but he believed in the ethics of Christianity. And so do we all. And this is something you should stand up for. Don't worry about focus groups or offending anyone. That's all nonsense. Cousin Donald, if you do the right thing, you'll gain enormous respect in America. Now, and I'm not a church-going practicing Christian, I believe in the ethics. All over the Middle East, Christians are being persecuted. You should look at your immigration statistics of the last 10 years and see what percentage of people came, how many Christians came in, how many Muslims came in, how many Muslims, Buddhists. And what you should do is, if there's been a deficit in Christians, you should redress that deficit so that the balance of the people in your country is stable. That seems a fair and decent thing to do, and you should do that with a headland speech to the American people on your thoughts on immigration. That would be a very important speech to do, and I think if you clear up the confusion about immigration, and you should have a very strict charter of citizenship, whether it's illegal immigrants whom you're giving a 10-year period to prove themselves before they apply for citizenship, or legal immigrants. They should all sign the charter so they have no legal kickbacks. If they break that charter, they're out. What do you want people in the country for who believe in Sharia law, or believe in mutilating the female body, or threw acid over girls' faces who want to attend school? You don't want them in your country. They belong somewhere in the 8th century in someone else's country. And this is where, Cousin Donald, be tough. Stand up for your beliefs. Don't listen to all the wankers in the focus groups. Remember who elected you. The ordinary, decent people of America. The forgotten people. The people in what they call the flyover states. The people who go out and fight America's wars for you. they'll all be on your side. Have a think about that, Donald. We're off, the boys are off for a beer. I'm going to have a cup of tea. We might do a headland speech next time. Thank you. Bye.